Ladies and gentlemen, your brain was never built to keep you calm. It was designed to keep you alive. That's a very important difference most people never stop to think about. The brain's main job, especially the older, primitive parts like the amygdala, is pure survival. That means it is always on the lookout, scanning your surroundings both physically and emotionally for possible danger. It's not looking for peace. It's not searching for joy. It's scanning for problems. And the moment it thinks it's found one, instantly, your whole nervous system lights up like a Christmas tree. Your heart starts pounding, your palms get sweaty, your thoughts scatter, and before you even realize it, you're spiraling, maybe reacting, maybe shouting, maybe shutting down, or drowning in overthinking. Does that sound familiar? This doesn't happen because you're weak. It doesn't happen because you don't have discipline. It happens because that is exactly how the human brain was wired to function. So, stop tearing yourself down every time you lose control of your emotions. You are not broken. You are just running on old programming. The beauty is, once you understand that, you can rewire it. But here's the truth. You can't change what you don't first understand. And this is where so many people get stuck. When you begin to learn how your mind works, you start taking your power back. The very moment you realize that your stress, panic, or anger is nothing more than your brain trying to protect you, something amazing happens. You create a small space between you and your reaction. And inside that space, that's where your true power lies. That is the place where you can choose how to respond instead of falling into the same old pattern of reaction. But here's the challenge. You don't get access to that choice unless you train for it. So let me ask you something. How often do you practice being calm when nothing in your life is going wrong? Most people wait until everything around them is collapsing before they try to be calm. But that's like stepping into a boxing ring without ever having trained a single day. You cannot expect yourself to remain calm in the middle of chaos if you've never built the muscle for calmness in peace. Your brain needs practice. It needs repetition. It needs habits. It needs proof over and over again that you are safe even when things around you feel uncertain. This is where most people quit. They think staying calm is a personality trait. That some people are just born relaxed, while others are not. That's not the truth. Calm is not a gift you're born with. Calm is something you build. It's something you create through consistent, intentional work. Calm is shaped through awareness. It grows through practices like mindfulness, deep breathing, journaling, and being completely honest with yourself. It's built every single time you pause instead of lashing out. Every time you breathe instead of arguing. Every time you reflect instead of reacting. These small moments may seem unimportant, but they are massive because they are literally rewiring the pathways inside your brain. See, your amygdala, the fear center in your brain, can activate in just 1/5 of a second. That's lightning fast. It's supposed to be fast because it was built for survival. But here's the good news. You also have a prefrontal cortex. That's the rational, thinking part of your brain. That's the part that helps you solve problems, stay logical, and remain steady under pressure. But here's the catch. It's much slower, and it only kicks in when you give it a pause. And that pause, that is the goal. Training your mind is about learning how to catch yourself in the heat of the moment before your old wiring takes complete control. It's about learning how to break the cycle of panic, anger, fear, and instead choose something different. And yes, that requires practice. That demands self-awareness. That means doing the work even on the days when you don't feel like it. But if you want to truly own your life, you've got to start by owning your mind, because life will not slow down for you. The world will keep moving. Life will still throw problems at you. People will still push your buttons. Challenges will still rise up. But when you train your mind to remain calm, none of it will shake you the same way. You will become unshakable, not because life got easier, but because you became stronger. Your calm becomes your strength. Your presence becomes your anchor. And instead of reacting to life blindly, you begin responding with clarity and intention. You stop being at the mercy of your emotions, and you start taking back control. That's not luck. That's not a gift. That's a choice. That's a skill. And it's one you can start building right now. Emotions are powerful. They move us to action. They inspire growth. They connect us deeply with others in ways that make us truly human. But here's the truth most people don't realize. Your emotions are data, not commands. Just because you feel something does not mean you have to act on it. Just because something feels urgent or overwhelming doesn't mean it's real. And it certainly doesn't mean it will last forever. Your feelings matter, but they are not facts. They are signals, not orders. Your brain creates emotions as part of its response system. It takes in what you see, what you hear, what you remember, what you believe, and then it assigns an emotional meaning to it. That's how feelings are born, but that process is far from perfect. In fact, it's heavily shaped by your past experiences, your fears, your insecurities, and even your mood in that very moment. So when you feel anxious, angry, or rejected, you may not actually be responding to what's happening right now. Most of the time, you're reacting to what this moment reminds you of. That argument you had today, it might not really be about today. That anxiety about tomorrow, it might be triggered by a fear you've carried for years. That's why learning to notice and study your emotions is so important. Not to push them down, not to ignore them, but to truly understand them. When you pause and grow curious about what you're feeling, you open up a gap, a sacred moment of awareness. You get to ask yourself, is this real, or is this just a story I'm telling myself? Is this emotion trying to teach me something? Or is it pulling me toward a reaction I'll regret? That's emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is not a gift some people are born with. It's a skill anyone can learn. Most of us grew up never being taught how to make sense of our emotions. We were told to calm down, to toughen up, to get over it. And because of that, many of us either bottled everything up until we exploded, or we let our emotions drive every decision without ever questioning them. Neither of those paths bring peace. Real strength is found in understanding that your emotions are messages. And just like with any message, you get to choose how you want to respond. You don't reply to every text you receive, right? In the same way, you don't need to obey every emotion that shows up. Just because fear knocks doesn't mean you must let it in. Just because anger rises doesn't mean you have to scream. Just because you feel like quitting doesn't mean you should give up. One of the most powerful things you can do is create the habit of checking in with yourself. Pause. Ask, what exactly am I feeling right now? Where could this be coming from? What story am I telling myself? And is it true? That simple step of asking questions can help wake up the rational part of your brain again. It can help you see more clearly, choose more wisely, and avoid making chaos worse than it already is. Think about this: you're nervous about an upcoming presentation. Your mind races with thoughts. What if I fail? What if people judge me? That anxiety feels so real, but it does not mean you're doomed to fail. It just means your brain is trying to shield you from embarrassment. It's pointing out a possible threat. But when you recognize that anxiety as a signal and not a final judgment, you can respond differently. You can prepare. You can remind yourself of the challenges you've overcome before. You can shift from panic into purpose. And when you stop automatically reacting to your emotions, you begin to reclaim your peace. You stop living like a puppet on the strings of every mood swing, every wave of self-doubt, every emotional surge. Instead, you become steady. You become someone who can feel deeply but still act with clarity. That doesn't make you cold or detached. It makes you wise. Emotions will always be a part of life. You can't erase them, and you shouldn't want to. They give life color and depth. But when you finally understand that emotions are information, not commands, everything shifts. You stop letting them drive your choices. You begin making decisions based on your values, not your moods. You start responding from a place of strength, not weakness. That's when transformation happens. That's when you stop just surviving and start living with real intention. Every single time you react without thinking, whether you snap, panic, or spiral, it happens because your brain skipped the pause. That tiny pause between what happens to you and how you respond. That is where your power is hiding. And when you train your mind to place that pause, everything changes. You stop being controlled by impulses. You stop letting the storms of life dictate how you feel and what you do. Instead, you carve out space to choose. That's the real power of the pause. The pause is not some cute idea. It's not just a feel-good phrase. It's actually backed by neuroscience. When something triggers you, stress, fear, anger, frustration, your brain fires up the amygdala right away. That's the fight or flight center. It's fast, emotional, and reactive. It was built for survival, not for thoughtful decisions. And when it hijacks your body, it floods you with chemicals like cortisol and adrenaline. That's why your heart pounds. That's why your hands sweat. That's why your thoughts scatter or spiral out of control. But here's the incredible thing. If you can pause for even a few seconds, you give your prefrontal cortex a chance to activate. That's the wise, rational, problem-solving part of your brain. Yes, it's slower than the amygdala, but it's far smarter. It helps you understand the bigger picture, regulate your feelings, and make choices that line up with your long-term values instead of short-term impulses. When you pause, you're not just calming down, you're literally changing the chemistry inside your brain. You're literally moving from panic into power. And the shift doesn't require a 30-minute meditation or hours of silence. Sometimes it's as simple as a single breath. Just one slow, intentional inhale can open up the space you need to choose your next step. That one breath interrupts the automatic loop your mind gets trapped in. It's like slamming the brakes before the car goes off the cliff. In that pause, you can stop and ask yourself, what's actually happening right now? What do I really want to do in this situation? Who do I want to be at this moment? That's the secret. You don't have to bury your emotions or push them down. You only need to slow them long enough to give yourself room to choose. And the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Like any other muscle, the pause grows stronger with repetition. At first, you'll notice it after the fact. You'll react quickly and later think, I should have paused before that. That's okay. That's part of the process. In time, you'll start catching yourself in the heat of the moment. And eventually, you'll even pause before the reaction happens at all. That's when you'll know the training is settling in. Think about the power of that. Imagine how your relationships could change if you pause before snapping back. Imagine how much clearer your mind would be if you pause before reaching for your phone out of habit. Imagine how many regrets you could save yourself from if you paused before making that impulsive decision. That small pause gives you control, not over everything around you, but over yourself. And that is more than enough. The world around you is loud, fast, and chaotic. It's so easy to get pulled along by it. But when you choose to pause, you anchor yourself. You build a stillness inside that doesn't depend on what's going on outside. You become the calm within the storm, not the one tossed around by it. And here's the beautiful part, you always have access to this pause. No matter where you are, no matter how wild things feel, that little pocket of space is always available. You just have to remember to use it. The more you practice, the more automatic it becomes. You won't always get it right, and that's not the point anyway. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is awareness. The goal is progress. So, the next time life throws something heavy at you, don't just react. Pause. Breathe. Get curious, then respond with intention. That one choice to pause may feel small, but it changes everything. It's the beginning of emotional strength, clarity, and confidence. It's how you take back control of your mind, one breath at a time. Your breath is one of the most powerful tools you already carry with you to calm your mind. And yet, most people overlook it. We breathe all day long without giving it a thought. But the truth is, the way you breathe directly affects your emotional and mental state. When you're stressed, afraid, or overwhelmed, your breathing becomes shallow and quick. You may not notice it, but your body does. Shallow breathing signals your nervous system that something is wrong, that you're in danger, and that you need to fight, run, or freeze. Now flip that around. When you slow your breathing down, when you breathe deeply from your belly, you send the opposite signal. You're telling your nervous system, we're okay. We're safe. There's no need to panic. That one change in how you breathe can completely shift the way you feel in that moment. It can break a cycle of anxiety. It can keep anger from exploding. It can sharpen your focus and help you respond with clarity. And the best part, you always have your breath with you. No matter where you are, no matter how chaotic life feels, you can always pause and breathe. That's real power. That's real inner control. You don't need a yoga mat, an app, or a perfectly quiet room. You just need a decision and a moment to tune in. There's a reason elite soldiers, world-class athletes, public speakers, and even surgeons practice breathing exercises. It works. One of the simplest and most effective methods is box breathing. You breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, exhale for 4 counts, hold again for 4 counts, then repeat. It's simple, but the impact is powerful. This balances your nervous system. It activates your parasympathetic state, the one that brings rest, healing, and calm. It slows your heart rate. It clears your head. It grounds you in the moment. You might be wondering, really just breathing? Yes, really. Because when your body finds calm, your mind follows. And when your mind is steady, you make better choices. You become more patient, more present, more powerful. That's not hype. That's science. Your breath is like a remote control for your brain, but most people never learn how to use it. Picture how different your days would look if you built this into your routine. Imagine starting your morning not with stress, but with 3 slow, intentional breaths. Imagine pausing to breathe before you step into a meeting, before answering a tough message, before having a hard conversation with someone you love. Your breath becomes a pause button for your nervous system. It becomes the space where choice lives. And there's something deeper too. Your breath is a path back to yourself. When you're disconnected from your breathing, you're often disconnected from your body and your emotions too. You're stuck in your head, trapped in overthinking, reacting on autopilot. But when you return to your breath, you return to yourself. You drop back into the present. You stop replaying the past or fearing the future, and you show up for right now. This doesn't mean you'll turn into a monk or pretend life isn't messy. Life will still throw challenges your way. People will still upset you. Situations will still test your patience. But when your breath is your anchor, you don't have to drown in it all. You remain centered. You remain calm. You remain in control. So the next time you feel tension rising, stop. Close your eyes if you can. Inhale deeply through your nose. Hold it for a second. Exhale slowly through your mouth. Do it again. Feel the shift in your chest. Your shoulders, your mind, that's your reset button. That's your strength. Don't wait until you're overwhelmed to practice it. Use it every day. Practice when things are calm so that it's there when things aren't. The more you train your breathing, the more you teach your mind and body that calm, not chaos, is your default state. Your breath is your power. Use it. Practice it. Trust it. Because when storms hit, when life spins out of control, it may be the one thing that brings you back to peace. The way you talk to yourself also matters more than you might think. Your inner dialogue is shaping your life every single day. Whether you realize it or not, you're always narrating your story. You're interpreting what happens, giving it meaning, judging yourself, predicting the future. And all of this is happening silently inside. That voice in your head influences how you feel, how you act, and what you believe is possible. So the question is that voice lifting you up or tearing you down? Most of us have developed an inner voice that criticizes more than it encourages. It's the voice that doubts us before we even begin, that replays mistakes over and over, that panics about what's coming and convinces us not to try. It whispers things like, I can't handle this. I'm not enough. This is going to fall apart. And the dangerous part is this. When you hear something long enough, especially from yourself, you start to accept it as truth. Not because it's true, but because it's familiar. This is why training your mind for calm must include training your self-talk. You cannot build a steady, peaceful life if the voice in your head is constantly shouting doubt and criticism. That's like trying to sit in silence while a rock concert blares right beside you. It's not possible. The noise inside will always overpower any calm you try to create outside. But here's the hope: self-talk can be changed. Just like any habit, you can rewire it. You can learn to speak to yourself on purpose. You can swap out those automatic negative loops with words that strengthen you instead of drain you. It begins with awareness. You need to catch yourself in the act. Pay attention to what you say silently to yourself all day long. When something goes wrong, what's the first thought that shows up? Do you insult yourself? Do you assume you failed? Do you spiral into panic? Becoming aware is step one. You cannot change what you don't notice. And once you catch the negative self-talk, don't fight with it. Replace it. This is where affirmations step in. Not the cheesy lines that feel fake or forced, but grounded, believable, and powerful statements that calm your body and redirect your thoughts. Words like, I can figure this out. I've been through worse and made it through. Right now, I choose to respond, not react. These aren't just nice phrases. They are commands for your brain. They guide your focus. They anchor your thoughts. They shape your identity. And your identity is everything. If you keep telling yourself you're anxious, you'll always find reasons to feel anxious. If you keep telling yourself you're capable, your mind will search for proof of that too. If you see yourself as someone who can't handle stress, your mind will keep searching for proof that it's true. But when you start telling yourself, I'm steady under pressure, and you back that up with action, your brain begins to write a different story. Over time, that story becomes your new truth. It's not about lying to yourself. It's about choosing a more uplifting narrative. This doesn't mean fear, doubt, or heavy feelings will never visit you again. Of course they will. You're human. But with practiced self-talk, you learn to guide yourself through those storms instead of being pulled and dragged by them. Your inner voice becomes a calm hand holding you steady when everything around you feels uncertain. You begin to coach yourself like someone who actually wants to win rather than someone who's just clinging to survival. Think of athletes facing high-pressure moments. They don't stand frozen, whispering, I hope I don't ruin this. No, they lock in. They talk themselves through it. They remind themselves, you've prepared for this. Stay sharp. You've got this. That language builds calm. It grows confidence. It channels energy where it matters most. You can do the same in your own life every single day. Start small. Speak to yourself the way you'd speak to a close friend. Firm but gentle. Honest but encouraging. When you fall short, say, that wasn't my best, but I'm learning. When fear rises, tell yourself, this is tough, but I have the tools to face it. In time, that voice becomes your anchor. It becomes the soundtrack of strength and resilience in your head. Your thoughts aren't facts, but they do shape how you experience life. If you want peace in your heart, you need to train your inner voice to stand with you, not against you. You don't have to believe every thought that passes through your mind. You get to decide which ones to repeat. And the thoughts you repeat create the story you live. Calm isn't something you stumble upon. It's something you build. Like any skill, it takes time and practice. It's not a switch you flip. It's a muscle you develop. You can't expect to hold peace in the storm if you've never practiced it in the stillness. That would be like showing up to run a marathon without training. Your mind needs repetitions too. This is where daily routines and habits come in. They aren't only about being productive. They are about shaping your nervous system. They're about teaching your brain to feel safe, grounded, and steady, especially when life gets messy. Think of them as emotional conditioning. Just like lifting weights strengthens your body, small intentional practices strengthen your inner stability. Let's talk about mornings. How you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. If you open your eyes and immediately grab your phone, scroll through headlines, or rush into emails, you're handing your peace over to the world before you've even claimed it for yourself. Your brain starts reacting before it has even taken a deep breath. That isn't calm. That's chaos wearing a mask of normal. So what's the alternative? You anchor yourself. You design a morning that protects your mind, even if it's only 10 minutes. Maybe it's sitting quietly with your coffee. Maybe it's jotting a few words in a journal, stepping outside for a short walk, taking a few minutes to pray or breathe, or simply pausing for 3 deep breaths before touching your phone. Whatever it is, it should remind your mind, I'm in charge. I'm not just reacting. I'm responding. I'm starting with clarity, not noise. The same truth applies to evenings. How you close your day matters. Your brain craves rhythm, a sense of closure to the whirlwind of hours. Lower the lights. Put the phone aside. Breathe. Reflect. These small choices build mental discipline. They signal to your nervous system that it's safe to release, to soften, to rest. That steady rhythm becomes a foundation for calm when life throws unexpected storms. Because when the chaos comes, your mind remembers we've been here before. We know how to breathe through this. Here's something else many people forget. The people you keep close and the content you consume are also part of your emotional training. If your surroundings are filled with constant drama, loud negativity, or endless noise, your brain mirrors that. It stays on guard. But if you begin to curate what enters your space, whether it's the people around you, the media you take in, or even the background sounds, you give your nervous system room to stay grounded. Training your mind for calm also means giving yourself mini resets throughout the day. Don't wait until stress drowns you. Create little breaks. Step outside for a minute, stretch, breathe slowly, sip water. These small pauses stop tension from piling up. They keep your baseline lower, your patience longer, and your focus clearer. Another overlooked practice is reflection. At night, spend just a few minutes asking yourself, where today did I feel steady? Where did I lose my calm? What shook me? What helped me return to center? These questions reveal patterns, and once you see the patterns, you can change them. This is how self-awareness grows. This is how emotional strength deepens. And hear me clearly, you don't need to do all this perfectly. That isn't the aim. The goal is to build a toolbox you can lean on. You're not trying to become a person who never feels fear, frustration, or stress. You're becoming someone who knows how to move through them. Someone who has practiced peace. Someone who doesn't collapse every time the noise of life gets loud. That is true strength. That is resilience. Calm is not only for monks in mountains or gurus in silence. It's not about running away from life. It's about facing life with a steadier heart. It's about building an inner foundation so strong that the storms outside don't topple you so easily. And that kind of calm is earned, one choice, one small practice, one intentional breath at a time. That's how you train your mind. That's how you become the version of yourself that doesn't just survive the storm, but rises above it. Because life will throw you off track. Plans will break. People will let you down. You'll be blindsided by things you never saw coming. That's the reality of being alive. You can't control every outcome, every event, or every person, but you can control one powerful thing, your response. And when you train yourself to respond instead of react, you stop being a victim of chaos and start becoming the protector of your own peace. The truth is most people move through life on autopilot, reacting to everything around them. Someone cuts them off in traffic and they explode. Their boss criticizes them and they shut down. A goal is delayed and they spiral into doubt. It's all automatic. No pause. No control. And that's why life feels so overwhelming. They let everything outside dictate what's happening inside.